When they first told me that I need to do this TED Talk, or TEDx Talk actually, I wasn't really sure what I was going to do. Was I going to wing it? Was I going to put some effort into it? As most of my professors here and at NJIT can tell, I usually wing it and hope for the best, but I figured since I have this opportunity to drop some knowledge, I'm really going to put some effort into it. So the first thing I did was I went on Google, and I Googled how to be a public speaker. And the first thing that came up was I need to use buzzwords. Now, what buzzwords are there keywords that are used to get your attention. Now, I was thinking about it. You know, if I was to use these in my talk and I was supposed to force them, it's not really a talk anymore because I'm purposely using words to try to get your attention. But then again, I also did like the idea of all these buzzwords, so I wasn't going to remove them completely from my talk. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through a few of my favorite buzzwords right now so you guys stay engaged for the whole rest of the talk. So let's go through some of them that are my favorite. Paradigm shift, thinking outside the box, innovative, world-changing, never before seen. Now that I have your attention, let's get into the real talk. So you guys are here. This whole concept is to spread ideas. Now, there's so many ways you can spread ideas. You can go online, you can read a book, you can watch the news, but there's something special that you guys did today that a lot of people didn't do. You guys came here to see me here in person. You guys aren't going to go home and just wait until it shows up on YouTube and watch me there, because it's not going to be the same. There's something special about being in a room with a person and talking to them, because that's the best way you can spread ideas. If you're there with a person and you're face-to-face and you're talking to them, that connection that you have is much greater than just watching it through a YouTube video or reading about it in the paper or doing anything like that. So the point here is that if you really want to efficiently spread ideas and gain ideas and learn from others, you need to be there with them. You can't just talk on the internet or do this and that. You need to be there in person, see them face-to-face. And I find that the best way to do this, especially over long distances, is to travel. Go out there. See the world. Make new friends. Make friends with people you don't have mutual friends with. Just do whatever, basically, but get outside of this bubble that's being created by the internet. Now, I'm not knocking the internet for how great it is. It's an amazing thing, and I use it too much. But it puts us in this bubble where we basically don't care about anything that happens outside of it. And this is a real big problem because outside of our bubbles, nearly 7 billion people exist. And how often do we really think about them? We don't. And that's why we need to get out there. We need to go outside. And by go outside, I literally mean go outside. See something new. And the best way to do this is through commercial aviation. Now, commercial aviation, it used to be this amazing thing a very long time ago when it first came out. People thought planes, and they're like, wow. Let me go fly around the world. Now, planes are almost like buses. People think, I'll hop on a plane, go somewhere. I hop on a bus and I go somewhere, more than the same. But it's really not, because if you think about it, planes are these giant metal things with wings that are heavy as hell, and they somehow get off the ground and fly 5-6 miles up into the air and move at the near speed of sound and will drop you off somewhere halfway around the world in a few hours' time. Now, if that isn't absolutely amazing, I don't know what else is. And that's why we need to work towards people traveling, and we need to make sure they fully appreciate commercial aviation, because I didn't either until about the summer of 2013 when I took my first real international trip. And I got to JFK Terminal 8 a few hours early because I was a bit overzealous, and I really didn't have much to do. I was there so early. Even my plane didn't land yet. So I figured, let me walk around. So I walked around the terminal, and I was walking by all of these gates, and above every gate, there's a really big monitor that tells you, hey, this plane is going to go to this country, or it's going to go here, it's going to go there. And as I was walking around the terminal, I noticed that from where I was, I could go nearly anywhere in the world without maybe a day's or two travel time. It was amazing because I realized that the world is so big, but yet it's so small from where I was standing. And from then, I noticed the people there. And the people, they weren't just your average New Yorkers or Americans that you'd normally see every day. They were people from all over the world. They spoke different languages. They came from all different walks of life. And for that little time that you were at the airport, you were part of their lives and they were part of your lives. And that's something that people don't realize. And because of that, I was kind of stunned and speechless. And then I quickly forgot it when I realized where I was going and the things I was going to do in Europe. So without much more thought, I went off to Europe, and I ended up in this fun little place called Belgrade, Serbia. Now, once I got there, got off the plane, went to the baggage carousel, and my bags were lost. So I was now in a foreign country, first time ever, didn't speak the language, and I had nothing but the clothes I was wearing and my backpack. So that really wasn't the best of situations. With the help of a few people that I met, I managed to basically survive until I got my baggage. And after that, I still had about a week and a half's time in the country. And I really didn't do that much tourist things exactly. I saw a few things here and there, but for most part, I just went out, made friends with people, and hung out with them. I really didn't do much besides that. And a lot of people were like, well, why'd you do that when you went there? We can just stay at home and hang out with friends here. And then I realized that what I was doing there with the friends I made there is the same thing that I do with people here. We all do the same thing. And I realized, were they doing the same thing with me as I do with my friends back home because I was there? Or is that what they really do all the time? And I realized that, wait a minute, no matter where people are, at the end of the day, we're all still people, and we all basically still do the same thing. And that comes off as a really obvious thought, like, hey, everyone's a person, we all do the same stuff, but it doesn't really hit you until you experience it and you really see it. And when that happens, it's a very weird but satisfying feeling knowing that you're part of something else, and no matter where you are, you're not really a stranger, because at the end of the day, whoever you're with, they're also a person. And with that thought, I came back home, and I realized what I needed to do. Fly everywhere. It got to a point where I was in planes more often than I was in class. I was going just about anywhere I could, seeing whatever I could see over the course of whatever time I had. And with every single trip, I came to a realization more and more that people are people, and you really need to take into consideration their thoughts, how their life is, what they're doing when you make your own decisions, because you never know when you're going to do something or vote for someone or align or support certain ideologies that may in turn negatively impact other people, and in some cases, people that you know. And that's something that we really need to think about, because when we don't take into consideration the fact that people are people, we start breaking down into chaos. And this chaos, it's present in the world. Sure, you see it in the news all the time, but you really need to go out there and see it. In my travels, I've come across parts of cities that have been blown up by bombings. I've seen bridges that have giant craters in them. I've seen hundreds of people working as slaves. This kind of stuff, it's horrifying to actually see it. Sure, you know it exists, but when you actually see it in person, it's different. And it really hits you. And the problem today is that everyone's relying on social media and all of these biases that they have, and no one's really thinking about it. They just kind of watch a video that they saw on Facebook, a 1 minute long blurb. They're like, oh, well, I know everything that I need to know about this, that place. I'm just going to believe in my biases, and that's a problem, because now you have this huge group of people that don't really know what's actually going on. They're just feeding into all of these biases and predispositions that are being pushed by the media and all of these other sources. And this is a very, very dangerous thing. And the best way to fix this is to travel. Travel is the only way that you can remove any kind of bias, because you're there and you're seeing it for what it really is with your own eyes, and you're making your own decisions. You're not relying on some reporter or some correspondent to tell you what to think. You're looking at it and you're like, you know what, this is my opinion. And you can finally form your own opinions based on your own observations and the facts that you have found. And that gives you a very powerful tool, because now you know what the world really is. There's a difference between seeing a picture of a bombed bridge and seeing one in real life. One of my trips that I had taken, every morning I take a walk around the area. And one morning it was nice weather, so I decided to walk a bit farther, and I kind of got off the beaten path. And I came across this bridge, and I was like, oh, cool bridge, let's walk across it. And I got about a third of the way through, and I realized I couldn't go any farther. And I looked down, and there's a giant crater there, left over from when a bomb had fell there. And I'm looking there, and I'm thinking, oh, wow, that was a bomb. And then it hit me, that was a bomb. There were people there that saw this bomb fall and explode. And the feelings that they must have felt when that happened, I couldn't even begin to imagine the horror. That's something that no human should ever have to think about. No person should have to worry whether they'll wake up in the morning and their school will still be there, or their hospital is still going to be there. Those kinds of acts against humanity are horrible. Killing any life, no matter if it's 1 or 100, for any kind of political ideology or anything like that, is horrendous and shouldn't be accepted. This is why everyone needs to go out there and see the world for what it really is. And even though you're going to see a lot of bad things, you're going to see a lot of really cool, amazing things that are really going to put a spring in your step and make you proud to be a human, make you proud to be part of humanity and be on this planet. And that's what you need to do. Next time you're thinking about going somewhere on a trip, don't go onto these online vacation places and like, all right, you know what? Let's do a 5-night stay in Disney World, or let's do a 5-night stay in Cancun or something, because you're not really going to see the world for what it really is. All you're going to see is a sterilized tourist trap, and that's going to be a further basically bias of what people want you to think a place is. I can tell you countless people that have gone to places in Mexico, like Cancun, and I ask them, hey, did you ever go outside your resort? Did you ever look at what Mexico really is? And they're like, oh no, I didn't really need to do anything. All my food, all my entertainment was in the resort. And I was like, well, why didn't you just go down to, the Jersey Shore? They have resorts there, and it's all the same thing. It's like, well, Mexico's different. It's like, how is it different? You didn't see anything that was different. You didn't go out into the cities. You didn't interact with the people. You didn't get an understanding of how their culture is. You didn't get outside of your bubble. You stayed in it. You actually brought your bubble with you somewhere else. And that's why next time you're thinking about going somewhere, go somewhere new. Go somewhere off the beaten track and really get an understanding of what the world is. Because it's an amazing place, but it does need some fixing, and we can definitely help. Now, a few days ago, there was something that happened in Europe, and it's not very good. There were these terrorist bombings in Brussels. Now, I'm sure everyone is aware of them, but were you guys aware that just a few days before that, some people in Turkey died the same way? There was a terrorist bombing there, but yet we basically ignored it almost. We really didn't think about how those people are, but we're really focused on the people in Brussels. But I can assure you that the new widows and orphans that are now in Turkey, they feel the exact same way that the people in Brussels do. And that you need our support. Just because they're somewhere else that isn't in our bubble doesn't mean that they need to be ignored. Now, I understand why people are more engaged or aware of the happenings in Western Europe. There's a lot of tourism back and forth between the United States and Western Europe. Our languages, they're kind of similar. You can get by with knowing just English. Plus, a lot of our culture is very similar. So we feel a connection to them. But we don't really feel a connection to, let's say, the Middle East or Africa or Southeast Asia. But why is that? That's because we don't really go there, and we need to go there. We need to see all of these people. And while you're doing that, remember that not only are you trying to break your bubble, but you're trying to break their bubble too, because they're in the exact same boat you are. They have their biases and predispositions of us, of other countries, and they're going to keep following that. Look at some places in the Middle East where, a little kid, his entire bubble, his entire life is the village he lives in. And think about how impressionable his mind is. He will listen to just about anything anyone will tell him. And in some cases, it's not really the best of intentions. And people think that this is a horrible thing. But if you look at it, it's just as easy for a little kid in the Middle East to become a terrorist as it is a little kid in an inner city to become a gang member. We all need to realize that every single person has this bubble, and because of that, they have an apathy towards other people, and as a result, you have a lot of chaos and a lot of things in the world that could be prevented if we just cared about people, if we just took other people's opinions, thoughts into consideration when we made our own. And that's why we all need to travel. We all need to get out there, see the world. Don't just stay in your bubble. Pop that bubble. Forget social media and all of the viral videos that you see. Make your own opinions. The media is only there to hawk a certain position that they have. But don't fall for it. You guys are people. You're all very smart people that can form your own opinions. So go out there, see the world, and become a smarter, educated group of people that overall can help the world.